What's up, Valyntpreneurs? This is Dan, CEO of Valynt Digital.
And I'm Makayla Mitchell.
If you're a first-time listener, here at Valynt Volumes, we talk everything business, entrepreneurship. We just had a creative person on here, which was cool. And then how to kick ass in life. That's what we talk about here. So let's go.
Welcome back to Valynt Volumes.
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't listened to our last episode, we definitely interviewed an incredible videographer and photographer who's worked very closely with Valynt Digital, but also done incredible things with amazing people. On no spoilers for anyone, because you have to listen to it. I mean, we learned a lot. There was so much about him we didn't know.
There was so many things that I didn't know about Joel, and yeah, I mean, I just don't know why I didn't know, but like, you know, like we were saying in the last episode, like we just didn't have the time to really connect with each other because we're always like working with a certain client together.
Yeah.
But then we never had the time because he's working. Like I just realized so many things that he's working on, and he knows I'm working on, you know, so many things here at Valynt. So like we just never had the time to connect. And man, I had such a great time just talking to Joel, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Like I just had a great time like learning more about him and some of the projects, and I'm just interested. Joel is an interesting man. Like he's an interesting dude. Like
I mean, it really puts it in perspective because it's like you met him well before like I moved into the Valynt
years ago. Yeah,
but like
5
he's
years
always
ago.
been the person to come and do the video shoots for us. That helps Valynt move forward. It helps like our clients. He learns about the clients. He sees an insight into Valynt, but we didn't take a moment to say, hey, what else do you do? Which we learned is music, and he's done so much more than just showing up to a Valynt video shoot, which sounds crazy, but it made me realize that, I mean, he's a person too, and we should take the time to like really,
for sure,
like get to know him.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and that makes us. I think we talked about it offline, but we should probably bring on some other people that we probably just don't know, like the other side of who they are outside of, you know, our day-to-day interactions. You know what I mean? So like, I'm like super pumped.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just pumped up today.
It's cool too because like with all these different companies that Valynt's working with that are looking to raise money for, you know, oil and gas, to bring a new technology into healthcare, to do all
golf course in Italy.
This is in Italy, Tuscany, all these super cool projects, and we're sitting behind the scenes doing the marketing, the lead generation, bringing in the investors who are going to be the ones to fund the project.
Yep.
But we don't have the limelight of that conversation. You know, if they make it, maybe they'll say Valynt Digital helped us, and it's just kind of like with Joel, maybe they'll mention, Valynt will mention that I was the videographer, that I helped them put this together. So it's like there's so many different creatives or different people behind how a big organization like comes to market or becomes a big thing that I think this Valynt Volumes could be the platform for those people that are behind the scenes to really have that voice and have the opportunity.
I like that angle. You know what?
You know,
I like that angle that you're taking.
Yeah, they call me Mac with the angles. That's what they do.
Okay, I don't know where that connection is, but all right. So what are we doing today? What are we talking about today?
I got some questions that I've read from the Hello at Valynt Digital. So if Valyntpreneurs do have questions or topics they want us to discuss, send it to hello@valyntdigital.com. We're the one looking over those. So there are some questions that I saw. So we can just
I'm a straight shooter today, so bring it.
Pew, 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 pew.
I need some of that thing, like, you know, like in the edits. Whoever, Caesar's our editor for this. Caesar, put some things in there. Bang, bang.
Okay.
Let's go. Emilio's looking at us crazy. Let's go.
I mean, that's no different. But
yeah.
So this email that we got in particular, the question is, when you're building a business, is it okay to take a vacation? And part of the email was reading about how we had talked about, you know, there's no days off. You can't put a business on pause.
Sure.
But like, where is the balance? You know, so can you touch on that?
Absolutely. I'll start with my perspective on it, and this is not the right perspective. I'm just telling you what my opinion is on this matter. So I personally didn't take any vacations for 5 fucking years. Like, I took no vacations for 5 years. The first vacation I ever took after I started Valynt Digital was March of last year. That was the first vacation. But even then, I still worked. The short answer from my perspective is, like, if you really have a goal of like building something of value that's going to have a huge impact somewhere, like whatever vertical insert, like the vertical or the industry that you're trying to like kind of like break in, then I'd say if you're competing against somebody like myself, if you take a vacation and I don't for the 5 years, well, that's the difference. If you take 3 weeks out of the year, that's, 3 times 12. You took 12 weeks off when I didn't take 12 weeks off.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think there's separation that happens in those, and then the momentum, that I was able to create. So short answer, I think depending on how big your goals are, it's difficult to say you want to take a vacation. And the other point is, like, financially, like, building a business is not easy. So, like, you want to take that money for vacation and probably put it back in there. So, like, you hear these people talking about life balance, life work balance. I'm not opposed to that, but depending on what your goals are, I think you can't be taking a vacation. Like, I personally didn't do it. Again, it's not the right way to, there's no right or wrong way to go about it. But I can tell you that if you go up against somebody like myself, and there's multiple people like me out there, right? Thousands of people that have like these ambitious goals, where you're going to lose just for the pure sake of you're taking time off and we're not.
Right. I mean,
you know what I mean?
That kind of bleeds into what you and I have been discussing recently about how, like, we've started to see more ads in the DFW area of different organizations that are in a similar industry as us. And you've taken a look at what you might call a competitor just to see what it is, other people doing ads in the capital raise industry. And when we were talking about it, you said, well, they may be doing something similar. They may have similar verbiage or looks and feel of it, but we have the data.
And we have the edge.
We have the edge, but putting that additional time in, working longer hours or working additional days is really putting us one step ahead of it to stay in front of our competition, to drop more content.
So you could disagree with me, like, well, like, there should be work-life balance. Okay, you can do work-life balance, but it is far and few. If you look at just the history of entrepreneurs and that's actually made it big, or like to a very high competitive level, where they take vacations the first year, second year, third year. You're not, I could tell you this with absolute certainty. If you're trying to build a business in the first year, you're taking vacation, you're not built to build a business. You're just not. Like, I don't understand, like, where people can say, well, you can take a 3-week vacation or like spend $5,000 going somewhere or $2,500. That should go back into marketing for your business the first year, the second, third, and fourth. Insert that year,
So when you get to the point of being in a place where you allow yourself to take a vacation, where are you going?
Where am I going?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question.
Like, have fun, Dan. Come out for a second.
I got too serious for a second.
You got very serious, but it's fine. But that's the truth of it. Like, your business is serious, and like,
I just get serious.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, your plan when you started Valynt, part of the goal was to get Valynt to a point where you were able to only focus on family, building an additional family, going on vacations. Like, you didn't want it to be all career all the time. It was all focus on this shit real hard right now. So kind of lead into that.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, I was willing to make a sacrifice for a couple of years to live a life that most people can't live. And I think somebody said, I don't know who quoted this, like, put your head down and work for like, X amount of years and live the life that most people can't live. And I've kind of stuck with that, and that stuck with me a little bit. So I was willing to sacrifice the work-life balance and just work to get it over the hurdle that I wanted to get over, and to put myself in a position to where, because look, when you start something, there is just a time period where there's just absolutely no balance. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you heard Joel, like he's still working a lot.
Yeah.
But like he says, what did he say? He said he follows the work. You know what I mean? And I think that's a great way.
Comparison to following the money. So he's not just looking for what's going to pay the most. He's like, no, I'm following the work because money's going to come with the work.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong, because like in business, like, you're there to make money, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Like, when you start following the money and you're trying to make money in business, it never works out, because my first couple of businesses failed because I wanted to make money, versus like when I started Valynt, I've said this multiple times, I wanted to do it because I have a passion for like media, marketing, and obviously like talking to people like Joel, on the last volume just confirms like what I've been saying for years.
I think people, my opinion, let's take that first.
Yeah.
Is that people have a misconception of how old you have to be to start being successful. Because like,
that's a great point.
I have this idea in my head of like, there's people out there that are wildly successful, meaning like, in my eyes, they have all this money to go and do whatever they want, where I'm looking at them and I'm like, what do you do for work? And it's, maybe they consult because they spend all this time in their 20s, 30s, let's call it, doing what you just described, putting their head down, focusing, and now they're at a point where they've built this business, so they have the expertise to be a consultant, to get paid wild amount of money, so that the family that maybe they just started, or maybe that's their second, I mean, whatever their life story is, they get to now just focus on that and do whatever the heck they want to do. But there's also these people in the world that, like, I mean, my sister was telling me a story about somebody she connected with that looked at her going to get her doctorate. And she'll finish her schooling with a doctorate degree at 30 years old.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, way to go, sis.
Yeah.
But she'd finish her schooling at 30, and they were like, like, gross, that's old. And I'm like, wait, what?
No, that's some hater shit right there.
I mean, completely. But that person's perspective is they started in a field and went to school for it, and their first job out of college, they're making 6 figures. A year into the field, they're doubling that salary, and so they're seeing the money in their early 20s. But, like, I'm trying to circle this all back, but, like, for you started Valynt 6 years ago, and you're almost 40. You know? It's like, I feel like
it was my early 30s when I started. So
people have this misconception of, like, you should have all this money at 20, 30, maybe 40 when you start a family. But, like, that's still so young.
It is young, and I agree with you 1,000%. Like, how do I put it? Like, I was making 6 figures in my mid-20s, but, like, everybody has this, like, thing depending on how they grew up, like what success looks like for them. And depending on what success looks like, it sounds like for that individual, like, it's making, you know, 200,000 a year or $250,000 a year. That's like the pinnacle of success. And they just don't have other perspectives, and they lack the ability to see a bigger picture than what's painted in front of them and the lifestyle that they're living, which is, well, kudos to the guy for whatever he's doing.
Great.
Yeah, great for you. But, like, that is the wrong thing to say to somebody, because at 30, that's where things, like, start to shoot up. And sometimes a lot of people, like, that's listening as a Valyntpreneur, a lot of people don't know what they want to do until they get to their 30s and try things. So, like, in your 20s, it's okay to try different things, you know? And I was that person that I tried a lot of different things and a lot of different verticals and industries. But I still somehow landed back in, like, the media marketing where, you know, like, creativity kind of allows me to do it my way. So,
I mean, Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy just recently had an episode where she's talking about, like, I mean, everyone says your 20s are, like, the greatest time ever, but no one's actually talking about how it kind of sucks sometimes. And, like, she's somebody too who just was on, like, 30 under 30, I think is what it is.
Yeah, she's the 0.0001%.
But I mean, she looks young. So with just all the I guess the point I'm trying to say is, like, with how technology has advanced and, like, social media, everyone can appear younger or seem to have success younger, but it's like there's still that ability, the world of working really hard to be successful and have all that money when you're 40, when you're 45, and still starting that life of, like, having fun. You don't have to have all the fun when you're in your 20s. It's something I'm realizing. That's why I'm passionate about it. 'Cause, like,
for sure. And look, like, I mean, just like, people should just, like, TikTok it or Google it, like, depending on your age. TikTok it or Google it, right? TikTok is a new Google. But look, if you look at most people that are making a certain amount, just like, if we put finances on it, they don't hit that stride until, like, their 30s, you know, like 20. I mean, it's rare for people to make 100K, 120, 150K, like, in their 20s, mid-20s. It's not that. I mean, I think making over 100K puts you in the 10% percentile anyway. So, like, most people don't get there till, like, their 30s. Sometimes their 40s. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think what's important is that you're just happy with what you're doing, and, like, day to day you're happy. I think that's more important than anything else. Then.
So, all that being said, where would you go on vacation?
Oh, all of that said, where would I go on vacation? I think right now, like, I went to Japan last year, and, you know, I'm gonna go again this year. There's 2 places I want to go.
You're not allowed to say Japan because this year you have decided, no, you have made connections in business that tie you back to Japan.
That's true. Yeah, so I'll go there regardless.
So where is somewhere?
Yeah, it'll be Europe. It'll be Rome. I want to go see Rome, the Roman Empire. What is that? The Colosseum?
You do some gladiator shit.
Yeah, I want to go see the Colosseum, and I want to go to, like...
If you say Tuscany because it's work-related, it's not allowed.
This is going to look bad. Wait, Rome is in... Italy. So,
I
okay.
hope so. Emilio's not giving me any confidence in this either.
Yeah. So like, that's where I want to go. I want to go to Rome,
Okay.
which like that area of the world I just haven't explored. And I've seen it, since I was a little kid. So like, that's an area that I want to go to this year. And the biggest thing I have on my like travel list is experiencing Christmas in Europe, because I hear that depending on where you go, like the entire city is like a Christmas village. And this past year, I was able to experience the Christmas village in College Station, which was phenomenal. So like, I want to be able to experience that. Every corner that I walk, every block that I walk, I want it to be a Christmas village. So that's kind of my thing. What about you?
Well, before we go to that, do you know what the number one thing to do in Rome is?
I don't know.
Roam around. Do you know how most people like plan it?
What?
Just call and see him. Coliseum. I made that up right now.
Where are you getting all of this? Got it. That was actually good. Roam around.
Roam around. How do you do it? You just call and see him.
Yeah.
Coliseum.
I'm a roam around in Rome.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about you though?
I've had a lot of experience in Rome, or not Rome, excuse me, in Europe itself.
Yeah,
and
went twice last year.
But I've been multiple times. My country list is, I think I'm at 23 different countries I've been to.
Wow, I've traveled.
I really wanted to tackle a new continent, like check another one off my list. So Australia was an idea that was maybe gonna happen this year. Ended up just not being able to happen this year, but I want to do something new. I love Europe. I feel like I've seen a lot of it, and so with vacation, I think something new, like Australia, New Zealand, maybe something tropical like Fiji. Like, I've never been a beach person, but I want to do something like more tropical.
Yeah, but have you been to the Caribbean or no? Like St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John, Puerto Rico, St. Kitts.
As a kid, I did
Bahamas.
the cruise ship where it was like the Bahamas.
Right.
I had family that owned land in like the Cayman Islands before, and so I've done that.
So you rich.
They had money, and I benefited for a moment.
Yeah, I got you.
But no, I think just something new and different. So, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was building a business and vacations.
All right.
Another question that I saw come in was about websites. And this is something that our clients actually ask us about a lot too, is do you need a website to be perfect when you launch? Like, what comes first? Launching a website just to have it, perfecting the entirety of it? And we've actually had some
That's a question I can ask, because we just went through this whole scenario. So to kind of reframe the question is like, hey, like, should I launch a website or like what an insert project before it's perfect is what I'm hearing. And let's like do the website. We launched our website with it being 30% done. And the reason we launched it that way is because, one, our website was old and it didn't reflect what it is that we do as an agency now. So launching it before perfect, it being 100% done, was the right decision for us to make.
But what does 30% mean?
30% means like, let's say there's like 7 pages on the website or 10 pages, just keeping it simple. Like, there's a home page, there's a services page, about us, maybe it breaks down to like the blog page and, like the podcast section. Well, we only had the home page done.
Oh, okay.
But I still said, let's launch it, because it makes sense, because as it sat like 2 weeks ago, when people went to our website, it really didn't talk about capital raises. It talked about like churches and like, plumbing companies and all of that stuff that we really have, like, we don't have those type of clients anymore. So like, our website was old. So launching at 30% makes sense. But I do want to answer, like, just in general, like, I operate that way anyway. There are certain things like you can't launch before it's like completely finished. But a lot of times, like, what I see happening in the business world is people are trying to get things perfect and they just never launch. It's like they're just like trying to you're never going to get anything perfect. You're going to get it good enough. And the quickest way, I personally think, is you launch it when it's good enough, and then you refine it through like customer feedback or like the feedback that you get from your team or whatever, right? Like, I think that's the best way to go about launching projects. Like, even the software, like, it is great. Like, it works. It does what it's supposed to do. But there are going to be little things that we're going to have to refine here and there. But I'm not going to, you can't refine the things that you don't know what you need to refine. So like, when it gets to a certain place on your project, or whether it's a website, you just need to launch it, because look, for most people, they're not going to even know the difference to begin with.
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Nothing's perfect.
I mean, when people come to a website, especially our clients, like they're not coming to the website and looking like, oh, the About Us pages in here must not be legit. Like, every website can have something different. They can have a different amount of pages, a different amount of sections. Like, they don't know what's missing.
Exactly.
So,
there you go. Yeah. It's just like intro. Like, I think a lot of entrepreneurs get hung up on like, oh, well, it's not completely done, so I'm not going to launch it. Or like, if you're trying to launch like a clothing line, and you have your hoodie and your let's say your jeans and sweats ready to rock, but then you don't have the stocks that you want to launch alongside of it, well, just still launch it. And test the market and see. Because then you can, if they buy your hoodies and they buy your your sweatpants, they'll buy the socks. You know what I mean? Like why wait till like everything is done? That's my point. Like I've never been the person to wait until things are perfect, because then you're also going to lose to people that actually launch it, get in front of the customers or the clients that you want to get in front of, and then they're taking your customers.
I mean, Chip, for 5 years, our website said that our main focuses were churches, lawyers, plumbing, and I mean, every single conversation that people have heard up until like this podcast, and the one with Joel, has been an outdated website that said we still did old stuff, but we've still been like confidently and like accurately talking about the clients that we're bringing on, because the website wasn't important to them, or maybe they never saw it. Maybe it was like it just didn't register that I wasn't completely up to date with what we do.
Yeah, I mean, that for sure too. But then the other thing is like we're just smart enough to know like not to redirect them to the website. So like we were closing deals, like high ticket deals and big contracts, without them even getting to our site. So like when a customer feels comfortable on your process on the front end of educating them and closing the deal, they never really go to your site anyway. Like it's insane to say, but like I'd say half of our current clients have never been to our website.
Because with digital marketing, you're able to put the ads in front of them wherever the hell they are.
Yeah, and then they talk to Jagger or whoever on our side, and they're like, oh yeah, this is a legit company. Let me work with them. I mean, again, it depends on your industry, though.
Right.
Yeah.
So since, I mean, Valynt doesn't do websites itself, we've obviously had to outsource our own website development.
Yeah, we used to, but we stopped.
Touch on your experience with websites vendors, because there's a lot of trial and error that you've experienced, and I think it might be helpful to entrepreneurs so they don't get the runaround.
Yeah, I learned a lot about website builds and how it should really be done. We used to offer websites, and I think we did a pretty good job, but like, again, I won't get into why we don't offer it now, but I've had 2 bad experiences with website building agencies. So the 2 that I had a bad experience with was, hey, here's the project, fill out the form. I filled out the form. I gave them all the marketing assets, and they're like, okay, we'll start building. So one of the first companies that I worked with never even gave me a mock-up like a couple weeks into it. And I know enough about websites. I'm like, why didn't I get a mock-up for it? So to make it short, like I was like, hey, give me my money back and we're not going to work with you. So they did that. Great. Kudos to them. They gave me money back for work that they didn't do. That's what you're supposed to do. The second company, like within like a week and a half, they gave me a mock-up from like the wireframe that I gave them, like the website wireframe. If you don't know, website wireframe is like the blueprint for the website. And within that blueprint, it kind of shows the structure of how the website should look. Insert copy, the links, and like this wireframe. And then alongside of the wireframe, I gave them all the marketing assets, the content, the video links. I mean, they had everything that they needed. So like they did a great job. Like in the first 10 days, they gave me this link and I shared it with the team. I was like, look at this website. We're about to get a new website. And then all downhill from there, because one, they stopped responding to me on my emails. And then every time I got on a call with them, it was excuses on, well, I need more of this from you, versus like, hey, we worked on the wireframe and everything you already have. Like they just kept like prolonging things. And because I was busy with other things, I was like, oh, okay, I'll give them a little bit more time.
Maybe it's on me.
Yeah, maybe it's on me. So then I gave them more content. But then it was the same thing. So like it almost felt like a scam of like, this is what they do. Because like, why wouldn't you just work on the website and update the website? So they didn't. So I X'd them out and I got a refund from them too. And then this third guy that I worked with, shout out to, his name is Gary Liu. He gave me a link from like day 3, right? Like a mock-up link. And then he showed me every part of the process. So like every day he would update the website, and it was very visible to me. So if you are building a website, I say find somebody that can show you what they're doing on the website at least like once every 3 days, so you can verify. Because if you don't know anything about website builds, some of these changes only take like 3-4 hours. He's even clocking based on their hourly. So like I'm paying somebody hourly to be able to finish the site, and it's just very visible.
Yeah.
So like just like how we run our ads and stuff, like our clients can go into the ad accounts and actually see the ads that we're running. This should be the same for website builders. I feel like you should be transparent and show your clients every day what you're working on, or at least every couple days, or at least at bare minimum, have a weekly call and show them the things that you've been working on. It's not that hard. It's just like hitting publish. If you're making changes on the back end of the website, you can hit one button, hit publish, and it'll just show to the client what they're doing, right? So like, just be transparent. I think that's my biggest takeaway from this whole experience is like, I'm never going to work with another agency or any other business if they're not transparent and they don't show me how they do what they do.
I just don't
want to work with them.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds so obvious now that we know, but it's like, we don't work on websites because it's not where we excel at. We haven't done that for years. But how would we know the right way or the wrong way of doing things? And so like we finally figured it out. So to those Valyntpreneurs listening, transparency is key.
It is super key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure they show you stuff.
Yeah.
Don't let them, this isn't anything. You know what I mean? Whether it's like weight loss or like, if you're looking for a trainer or like if you're looking for a consultant, and if they say I do consulting, make sure you see like you get a referral to talk to the clients that they work with, or like look at their current portfolio. Like you just got to do your due diligence, like no matter who you engage with. And you should do that with a digital marketing agency too. Do your due diligence. Talk when people talk to us, we show them the actual ads that we're running. Right. We show them the funnel that we're going to build out. We show them examples of current, just like they can just see everything from A to Z. So there's no confusion like, well, what are you guys going to do? How are you guys going to do it? Well, we lay everything out for you.
Yep.
So
I like it. Okay. The next question that we had was somebody kind of went on a little bit of a rant talking about their customer complaints and feedbacks they were getting with the business, and they weren't sure how to take customer feedback that may be negative, or just what do I do with it? They didn't want to limit themselves by not having a platform for customers to leave feedback for them.
Right.
So how do you grow your business, like you specifically? How do you grow your business with taking in complaints or feedback from your customers? Or
I said this when I was like in my early 20s. Customer feedback is gold because it tells you what you have to do in your business, or like overall your business, or like if they complain about your sales, then it tells you there's something probably wrong or that can be improved, like your sales process can be improved. It's anytime a customer complains about your services or your product, every entrepreneur should take it as feedback initially, investigate, see what it is that they can improve upon. And then once they do that, they can see if it's valid or not. You know what I mean? Like you can't go in there and listen to a complaint and be like, oh yeah, like I don't know what he or she's talking about. Like that approach will never allow you to grow. Yeah. It's the same thing. Like we preach this in our agency. When a customer is unhappy with something, we always look internally first and see what it is that maybe it's not necessarily that maybe we dropped the ball. It could be the fact that our process is just like causing them a headache or something like that, or like extra work that they shouldn't have to do. You know what I mean? So like it's always looking internally and then fixing it if we can, or then we're changing course on how we do things and how we engage with our partners and our clients. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like the whole thing, if I just wrap it up, is listen to it, because your customers will allow you to grow your business, improve your product, improve your services. And that's how Valynt Digital has gotten to where we are, because we've had team members in the past, I'll say this, that takes customer feedback, keeps it to themselves, doesn't change anything, or complains that the customer is complaining. Those kind of people can't stay here.
Yeah.
No.
One specific instance, that helped Valynt truly grow in our video production was there was somebody who was a client of ours who came to a video shoot, and they had expected us to have hair and makeup there, which at the time we didn't. We'd never heard somebody want it before. We didn't really see, why should we have it? honestly, most of the guys we interview are guys. We didn't think they'd want hair and makeup. At least that's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah,
But it
for
was
sure.
a gentleman who did suggest that we should have hair and makeup because he would have just felt more confident on camera doing an interview for something that's going to be marketing his business. And so with that conversation, well, it sucked in the moment. Like, damn, we weren't prepared, but we didn't know that was an expectation we should be hitting. It allowed us to go and, I mean, even talk to Joelle, say, hey, do you have any hair and makeup people that you know? Which now we have a roster of them that we can bring to a shoot, and it's just only allowed Valynt to grow further and really amp up our video production, because I mean, it's legit to start, but now it's even more cool because you feel like you're actually going to a legit set, a movie studio.
Just that one little element. For sure. Like I agree. Like I took that as like I was a little like, I'm just gonna be honest here. I was like, well, what are you talking? Like, why hair and makeup? Why do you need it? But then again, I have to be the example and I changed my mindset real quick right then and there because I noticed it about myself, and I said, okay, well, let's just fix it. So on the very next shoot, we had hair and makeup person, and what I saw immediately was how the interaction of the client changed, how their vibe even was much better, and you could feel like they felt more important to be at the shoot. You see what I'm saying? Because there is hair and makeup, there is coffee being brought to them. Like it's the customer service part of what it is that we do at a video production shoot.
I mean, we constantly talk about how we should court the investor, court the lead, which is just taking care of them ahead of time outside of it being a transaction. And then we kind of stopped right there of, okay, now they're our client. We're done courting them almost. It's like, okay, now we're hosting them. Now we're bringing them here and making them feel even more welcome. Welcome to the family. Like, we're taking care of you, and so much more than just digital marketing. Like,
it's the whole Valynt experience.
Like that. We're catering to them for sure.
Yeah, it's important. So like, we took that feedback, and let me tell you why it's important to take that feedback, because that feedback from that one person got us to bring in a hair and makeup artist, that got us to bring in other things within the video production that we do, that also allowed us to raise our price, because we were like, hey, look, we're elevating what we do, and naturally you can increase your price if you're adding more value. I mean, you're running a business, you're able to do that, you're supposed to do that, but you got to obviously do a good job at it and do it at a high level. So like that was a triggering moment for Valynt to say, okay, well, let's look at the entire video production piece of it and what it is that we do here. How can we improve it? Is it the equipment that we're using? Is it the studio that we're bringing the clients to? Is it how we address the clients before they get here? Is it the way we get coffee for them or cater to them like before the shoot or during the shoot? And then it also like, what are we doing after the shoot is over? Are we taking them to lunch? Are we taking them to dinner? Like, are we getting them an Uber to the airport? Like, there's all of those elements that we've considered, and we've tweaked some of those things.
Right.
And it was just off of that one feedback that a client gave us.
Yeah, I mean, before that, it was like, I mean, we're a digital marketing agency, and for an additional cost to our service, the campaign would perform a lot better if you did the additional service of adding video. It was adding video, right?
Yeah.
But now it's so elevated to where it's Valynt Digital is a digital marketing agency, and they do video production.
Yeah, there's a whole division for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's become this whole thing that can be a la carte to digital marketing, but it can also just be its own thing, something that we can truly be proud of, that's not just an add-on that digital marketing will make good. It's like, I don't know, it's exciting to be a part of, because in high school I was in theater, and I never really saw myself. I mean, I always said I was going to be famous.
Yeah. You're famous, right? You're on the Valynt Volumes
podcast. Now I get to partake in these video shoots with people who are really, I mean, changing the world with their business, their product, their service. And now Valynt Digital is, a matter of fact, a part of that too. So
we do important work. Like, it's an interesting place where we are today.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, we kind of touched on it with Joelle, but what is the vision for Valynt's time on camera? Are we doing any type of video production for ourselves? Yeah. Can you touch on that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to give it all away. I mean, we have plans of, doing like BTS stuff.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah. Behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. There you go.
I got the lingo. I'm hip.
Yeah, like we have plans to do that, and that's going to probably start hopefully next week. I mean, we have a meeting with a gentleman.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. So, I think that's one thing I can share. But outside of that, there are video things. Like, I just don't want to put it all out there just yet, just because some of it and what, if I was to share it is
proprietary.
Yeah. And it's kind of like our way of like introducing ourselves to a certain industry. So like, I just don't want to give it away just yet. Yeah.
It's exciting because, without giving it away, I'll be careful. We've spent so much time, and you've spent so much time really focusing on our clients and how to make them successful. Now we have that website that really speaks to what it is that we do. Now the podcast is really speaking to that as well, also creating its own type of conversation. And now we have some video that speaks to what it is that we do and where we excel, and the story behind it.
Yeah. And then look, and then like even this podcast, like I know we touched on this a while back, but like we rebranded Valynt Volumes from like the logo that we used a couple years ago. We rebranded that, and there's purpose behind rebranding the podcast itself too, like within the Valynt Digital umbrella. You know what I mean? We have plans to interview a lot more people here from DFW or like just around the United States, to give people like Joel that are more than worthy of telling his story of like
behind the scene creatives.
Yeah, the creatives, like, and that's definitely an angle I think that's kind of missing right now in like the podcast world. And I'm happy to alongside of you kind of to take reign on that. And then and then get the right people on here, you know what I mean? But I think that'll just naturally expand into other things, and we have plans. We've talked about it. We have plans for Valynt Volumes, not just as a podcast, but as a media kind of thing. So that's down the road, but we got to one step at a time, right? That's where we're getting to. And here we are, a little, like, about a year now since we started this podcast journey. Right? Like, we started last January, didn't we?
I think so. I believe you.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's just been like 12 months or so. So like, we've been doing this consistently. I know we paused a little bit, last summer, but we've been very consistent. So, we have big plans for this thing, and I'm excited to see where it takes us in 2024.
Cool. Well, that's all the questions I had for today.
Yeah.
Thank you for your thoughts and your feedback.
Yeah, for sure.
For those Valyntpreneurs listening, if you have any other topics, people we should interview, questions for us about leadership, entrepreneurship, digital marketing, I mean, you name it, we're an open book. We'd be happy to have you on the show and to talk about some of the questions that you have for us. So email us at hello@valyntdigital.com. And Dan, anything else you want to add?
No, you closed it out great.
Thanks.
Until next time, Valyntpreneurs.
Stay tuned. Peace.